Your soulmates is packing their bags tonight. The shocking decision they just made. My beloved child. Tonight, someone is quietly folding clothes, zipping a travel bag, and staring at a doorway they never imagined they would walk through. It looks like an ordinary decision, but it isn't. Every item they place inside that bag carries the weight of a memory connected to you. The strange part is that no one around them truly understands why this sudden change is happening. They have given different excuses to different people, yet none of those explanations reveal the real reason. So what finally pushed them to make such a shocking choice tonight? And why does it feel as though the next few hours could change everything between you forever? Don't skip, because the truth hidden behind that packed suitcase is far more emotional than anyone expected. At first, it may seem like they are walking away, but appearances can be dangerously misleading. Sometimes people leave a place not because they want to disappear, but because staying has become even more painful than leaving. As the evening grows quieter, they pause before closing the final zipper. Their hand freezes. A single thought refuses to let go. Your name. It returns again and again, louder than every fear they have tried to silence. They replay conversations that seemed ordinary at the time but now carry completely different meanings. Tiny moments they once ignored suddenly feel like missing pieces of a much larger puzzle. Someone close to them even noticed the hesitation and asked a simple question, "Are you absolutely sure?" The silence that followed revealed more than any answer ever could. Stay till the end, because this hesitation wasn't caused by uncertainty about the journey itself. It was caused by something they discovered only hours ago, something that completely changed the reason behind this unexpected departure. The more they thought about it, the more impossible it became to pretend nothing had happened. But if they know the truth now, why are they still preparing to leave instead of running toward you? Then another unexpected moment unfolds. Before placing the bag beside the door, they pull out one final object they almost forgot. It isn't expensive. It isn't dramatic. Yet the instant they see it, every emotion they have been trying to bury comes rushing back. Their entire expression changes. The confident decision they made earlier suddenly begins to crack. Questions flood their mind faster than answers. What if leaving creates a distance that can never be repaired? What if someone else changes your future while they are gone? Something huge is waiting for you, because the decision that seemed final only minutes ago is no longer as certain as it appeared. Right before they reach for the door handle, an unexpected message arrives, one they never thought they would receive tonight. They read the first sentence, and everything about the journey they planned begins to change. That message wasn't long, but it carried the kind of weight that can stop an entire night in its tracks. They read it once. Then again. Each time, a different sentence seemed to stand out, almost as if it had been written for a different version of their heart. The room that had felt so certain only moments earlier was now filled with doubt. Their suitcase remained by the door, untouched, while they searched through old memories they had tried so hard to lock away. Suddenly, they realized that the decision they were about to make wasn't just about changing locations, it was about choosing the future they wanted to live. But who sent that message? And how could someone know the exact fear they had never spoken aloud? Don't skip, because the answer is closer than anyone expected, and it will challenge everything they believed was already decided. Outside, the night continued as though nothing unusual was happening, yet inside, everything had changed. They sat quietly, staring at a photograph they hadn't looked at in months. Every smile in that picture reminded them of a promise left unfinished, a conversation interrupted too soon, and a connection that never truly disappeared. The people around them believed the packed bags meant they had finally moved on. They couldn't have been more mistaken. Deep inside, they were fighting the hardest battle of all, the battle between protecting themselves and risking their heart one last time. Stay till the end, because just when they finally reached for the suitcase again, another unexpected realization struck them. They weren't afraid of leaving. They were terrified of leaving without knowing what you truly felt. Then the impossible happened. As they unlocked their phone to book the final step of their journey, they noticed something they had completely overlooked earlier that day. A small detail. Almost invisible. Yet once they connected it with everything that had happened over the past few weeks, the entire story suddenly made sense. Every strange coincidence, every delayed conversation, every unexplained silence now pointed toward one hidden truth they had refused to believe. Their breathing slowed. Their hand pulled away from the bag. For the first time that night, walking away no longer seemed like the only option. Something huge is waiting for you, because before midnight arrives, they are about to make one final choice, and this time, it won't be based on fear. It will be based on a secret that has been quietly growing between you both, a secret that neither of you has dared to say out loud. For several long moments, they didn't move at all. The suitcase remained exactly where it was, but their mind was already somewhere else. They walked back across the room, opened a drawer they hadn't touched in a long time, and took out a small collection of handwritten notes, old photographs, and forgotten keepsakes. None of these items were valuable to anyone else, yet every one of them carried a memory that led back to you. As they looked through them, a painful realization settled in. They had spent so much time preparing themselves for a future without you that they had never stopped to ask whether that future was what they truly wanted. One memory after another erased the confidence they had built around leaving. Suddenly, the question was no longer, should I go? It became, what if I'm about to walk away from the one person I was always meant to find? Don't skip, because the answer to that question is about to arrive in the most unexpected way. At that exact moment, someone knocked on the door. It wasn't a stranger. It was a person who had quietly watched this entire emotional journey from the sidelines. Without saying much, they looked at the packed bags and then asked a single question that changed the atmosphere completely. If you're so certain about leaving, why haven't you walked out yet? No reply came. The silence itself became the answer. That visitor could see what everyone else had missed. This wasn't hesitation. It was hope refusing to disappear. A conversation followed, one filled with difficult truths and uncomfortable honesty. They admitted they had been trying to convince themselves that distance would make everything easier, but every mile they imagined traveling only seemed to pull them emotionally closer to you. Stay till the end, because before that visitor left, they revealed one piece of information they had kept hidden until tonight, believing the time had finally come for the truth. The room fell silent once again after the door closed, but now everything felt different. The hidden information they had just heard connected every unanswered question from the past. The strange timing. The mixed signals. The moments that seemed like rejection but were actually fear. They realized that several decisions had been made based on assumptions rather than truth. Slowly, they unzipped the suitcase they had packed so carefully. One by one, the clothes went back into the closet. The journey they thought was unavoidable suddenly no longer felt necessary. But just as they reached the bottom of the bag, they discovered a folded envelope they didn't remember placing there. There was no name on the front, only a single handwritten sentence: "Open this only if you've decided not to leave tonight." The moment they unfolded the first page, their expression changed completely, and what they read would make the next decision even more unbelievable. Their hands trembled as they unfolded the letter. The first line wasn't dramatic. It was calm, almost gentle. Yet those few words carried more emotion than everything they had heard in recent months. The writer admitted that many things had been left unsaid, not because the feelings weren't real, but because fear had become louder than honesty. Every paragraph seemed to answer a question that had lived inside their heart for far too long. The letter described moments they thought no one had noticed, quiet sacrifices they believed had gone unseen, and silent choices made only to protect someone they deeply cared about. With every sentence, another wall around their heart began to fall. Don't skip, because the final page contained one sentence that completely transformed the meaning of the packed suitcase sitting beside the door. Without wasting another minute, they looked out the window. The night no longer felt like an ending. It felt like a countdown. They realized the suitcase had never been packed because they wanted to escape you. It had been packed because they believed they had already lost the chance to stand beside you. That painful misunderstanding had shaped every decision they made during the past few days. Now, for the first time, they questioned everything. What if the distance between you had been created by silence instead of truth? What if both of you had been waiting for the other to make the first move? Stay till the end, because as these questions echoed through their mind, another unexpected detail caught their attention. Tucked inside the envelope was a small receipt with a date and time that matched something incredibly important, something they had completely forgotten until this very moment. They quickly searched through old messages, connecting one forgotten detail after another. Suddenly, the entire picture became clear. The strange conversations, the delayed replies, the emotional distance, it all pointed toward one carefully hidden plan that had never been meant to hurt you. Their breathing grew heavier as they realized tonight wasn't supposed to be the night they disappeared. It was supposed to be the night they finally found the courage to face everything they had been running from. Slowly, they pushed the suitcase away from the door and reached for their keys instead. But before they could take a single step outside, their phone lit up one more time. The notification showed only 6 words, yet those 6 words were enough to stop them completely. "I'm waiting, but only until sunrise." Those 6 words echoed through the room long after the screen went dark. They read them over and over, searching for a hidden meaning that might explain why the message felt so urgent. "I'm waiting, but only until sunrise." It wasn't a demand. It wasn't a goodbye. It was a final window of opportunity. Every second suddenly mattered. They looked at the clock, then back at the suitcase that had nearly carried them away from everything they truly wanted. The choice that had seemed impossible only an hour earlier now felt painfully clear. If they stayed frozen by fear, sunrise would arrive with more than regret. It would close a chapter they might never have the chance to reopen. Don't skip, because what happened during the next few minutes changed the direction of their entire journey. Instead of rushing out blindly, they paused for one last moment. They needed absolute certainty. Opening a small notebook, they found a list they had written months before, a private reminder of everything they hoped to find in someone they could trust completely. As they quietly read each line, an unexpected smile appeared. Compassion. Patience. Loyalty. Quiet strength. Every quality on that page reminded them of you. They suddenly realized they had been searching everywhere for answers that had been in front of them all along. The doubts planted by other voices began to disappear. Those fears had convinced them to pack their bags, but they no longer had the power to control the next step. Stay till the end, because just as they reached for the door, another unexpected obstacle appeared, one capable of delaying everything. The phone rang before they could leave. It was someone who had once encouraged them to walk away and never look back. This time, however, the voice on the other end sounded completely different. There was hesitation, even regret. A truth that had been hidden for far too long was finally coming to the surface. They admitted that several misunderstandings had grown because important details had been left unsaid, and assumptions had replaced honest conversations. The silence that followed was heavier than any argument. Without another word, they ended the call, picked up the keys, and left the suitcase behind. The road ahead was no longer about escaping the past, it was about finally confronting the future. Yet as they stepped into the quiet night, they noticed someone already standing in the distance, waiting without moving. In that person's hand was something that could answer every remaining question, if they were brave enough to walk the rest of the way. The figure didn't move as they slowly walked closer. The night was almost silent, broken only by the sound of careful footsteps and a racing heartbeat. With every step, another layer of uncertainty disappeared. They had imagined this moment 100 different ways, but reality felt completely different. There was no anger waiting for them. No accusations. Only a quiet expression filled with emotions that had been hidden for far too long. The object in that person's hand wasn't what they expected either. It wasn't a farewell letter or a travel ticket. It was a small envelope sealed months ago, meant to be opened only if life brought the two of you back to this exact crossroads. Don't skip, because what was written inside had the power to explain why tonight had unfolded exactly the way it did. As the envelope was carefully opened, the first sentence immediately caught their attention. If you're reading this, it means hope was stronger than fear. They stopped breathing for a moment. The letter described feelings that had never been spoken aloud, moments when they wanted to reach out but believed the timing was wrong, and countless nights spent wondering whether destiny was quietly leading both of you toward the same future. Every paragraph erased another misunderstanding that had kept your paths apart. The packed suitcase, the hesitation, the unexpected messages, none of it had been about giving up. It had all been the result of believing that silence was protecting the people they cared about. Stay till the end, because the final page revealed something they never imagined had been planned long before tonight. When they reached the last page, a folded photograph slipped onto the ground. It showed a place that held unforgettable memories, and written on the back were just a few simple words: "This is where everything was always meant to begin again." Their eyes filled with emotion as they realized tonight had never been about leaving forever. It had been about finding the courage to stop running from what their heart had known all along. They looked up, ready to take the next step without fear. But just before either of you could say a single word, another unexpected sound broke the silence. A car pulled to the curb, and someone stepped out holding a document that neither of you had ever seen before. The moment they quietly said, "You both need to read this," every answer you thought you had suddenly became another mystery. The air grew still as the stranger carefully unfolded the document. No one spoke. Even the silence seemed to be waiting. They accepted the papers with cautious hands, expecting another obstacle, another misunderstanding, another reason for the night to fall apart. Instead, the first page revealed a timeline of events that neither of you had ever seen before. Dates matched forgotten conversations. Tiny details connected moments that had always seemed unrelated. What both of you believed were random coincidences suddenly formed one complete story. Someone had quietly been protecting the truth until the right moment, believing that revealing it too early would only create more confusion. Don't skip, because the final page contained one missing piece that neither of you could have discovered on your own. As the pages turned, a realization settled over both of you at the same time. Every delayed reply, every cancelled meeting, every unexpected silence had been shaped by fear, not a lack of love. Each of you had interpreted the other's quietness as distance, while in reality both hearts had been carrying the same unanswered questions. The stranger gently smiled, as though they had been waiting months to witness this exact moment. "Sometimes," they said softly, "people spend so much time preparing for goodbye that they never notice how close they are to a new beginning." Those words lingered in the night long after they were spoken. Stay till the end, because just when everything finally seemed to make sense, one final surprise emerged from inside the envelope that changed the meaning of this entire journey. Hidden beneath the last document was a small folded note, untouched and unopened. On the front, only one sentence had been written: "Read this together, never alone." They exchanged a nervous glance before unfolding it side by side. The handwriting was familiar, yet neither of you could remember when it had been written. The message spoke of a promise made long ago, a promise that life would eventually test through distance, silence, and difficult choices. It ended with one unforgettable line: "If you are standing here together tonight, then neither of you truly walked away." A quiet smile replaced the fear that had filled the evening, but before either of you could respond, another phone vibrated in the darkness. The caller ID displayed a name that neither of you expected to see again, and answering that call could reveal one final secret capable of changing everything you believed about how this story truly began.